I think the biggest piece of that is ownership, right? Like
Correct.
what KOSIGN does is just collections, global collections, but the artist, songwriter, producer still owns their music, right?
Ownership and control, right? You deserve the right to collect your publishing money around the world from every single collection society, from every single platform in every single country without having to sign away your ownership.
Yeah.
And I think historically in publishing, in the publishing game, that's always been the trade off, which is like, okay, we can get you into the game. I'm saying this as a traditional publisher, but we're going to take a piece of the ownership.
Yeah.
And that model doesn't have to be that way.
So let's talk about that, right? Because that's how it was when I was coming up. Like admin was maybe still a thing, but you had to know the right person
Right.
or get in with the right company and get that type of deal. Now it's available to anyone who wants to apply or just see if their catalog is worthy of admin, but it's much more widely available now, right?
It is.
So talk about what a traditional publishing deal looks like and what are the advantages, disadvantages.
So the traditional publishing deal would pay a songwriter or a producer or an artist in advance, and in exchange, the publisher would collect their publishing royalties and would recoup that advance. But also, the traditional publisher would take a piece, either all or maybe half, of the underlying copyrights, the underlying publishing ownership of that
Okay.
song. Right?
So you're sharing ownership
You're
at that
sharing
point.
ownership with your publisher in exchange for an advance, them helping you find opportunities for your music, and they're collecting your money, right? With the admin framework, what we're doing is we're saying we're not going to take ownership of your songs, but we're still going to help you collect your royalties. And in fact, at Kobalt and at KOSIGN, we're going to build systems to actually help you collect your royalties in an even more sophisticated, efficient way, right? We're going to build a better platform that can show you in real time what's happening with your royalties. Like you should be able to log in to your publisher account and see every single song that you deliver to them, and also what's the registration status of all those songs. And people listening to this might be like, well, what does that mean? What that means is this. If you send a song to KOSIGN, first off, it's going to the Kobalt admin team to register. Those are the same group of people who are registering songs for Paul McCartney,
Yeah.
for Stevie Nicks, for Skrillex, for Dr. Luke, for Childish, right? But you should also be able to see transparently what's the status of that registration.
Yeah.
At ASCAP, at PRS, that's the UK Performing Collection Society, right? There are hundreds of territories, and there are dozens and dozens of collection societies, and like you should be able to see transparently what's going on,
100%.
right? Here's the thing: that if you were to go to 99% of publishing companies and you were to say, "Can you please give me a report of my registration status?" You would be lucky if they ever gave it to you, and it would be very difficult to get that information.
Yeah.
And that's where we're trying to rethink things and saying, like, look, you should just be able to see that in real time. We have that information. Let's give that to our clients, our songwriters. Let's just make that available. So it's about a one place to go to send in your songs, to see what's going on with your songs in real time, to see your earnings in real time, and to just get paid with the flexibility
Yeah.
to evolve that setup anytime. Because like what we're not trying to do with KOSIGN is lock people into a long-term deal. Because I recognize, like, as much as we talk about admin deals and ownership, down the line, a songwriter or an artist or producer might decide to do a traditional publishing deal.
Right.
And I'm not here to tell people, like, that's wrong or that's right. Like, I just want to create options for people to, one, be educated, two, get paid, and three, just have control over their careers and have all the options in front of them.
Yeah.
Right? And that's really the goal of what we're trying to do. And I think an important piece of that puzzle is ownership and control.
Right. Right. I want to make sure that we talk about this, but I'm big on action items, right?
Right.
Like, what are the steps that an artist, producer, or songwriter who is not collecting their publishing right now need to take in order to collect all of it? Like,
Right.
how do they get that?
The beauty here is the fastest way to collect all of it, and not only the fastest, like the one way to actually collect all of it is to work with a global admin.
Okay.
I can tell you why I think KOSIGN is the best option.
Yeah.
And I should also say, KOSIGN is a selective platform.
Yeah.
We don't accept everyone. And the reason why we don't is because comprehensive global music publishing is comprehensive. And it actually, like, we put a lot of resource behind making sure that we are registering your songs everywhere, that we're collecting everywhere, that if there's a dispute in a certain territory that's maybe causing a hiccup with your ability to collect that money, that our society relations team is picking up the phone and is making sure that dispute is resolved, right? So we are a selective platform, but if you want to collect all of your money, I can honestly say that there is no better platform to do it than KOSIGN, because we're just built on the best infrastructure for collections in the industry. And the action item is this. The action item is find a publishing administrator. And, KOSIGN is a great option for people. And by the way, you can apply to KOSIGN in a way that takes 2 or 3 minutes. Like you go to kosignmusic.com, you fill out an application where you send us some Spotify links, to your catalog, and very quickly we can understand if you're the right fit. But once you find a publishing administrator, and then the second most important step is just submitting your songs. And within that, what you need to do is you just need to understand, here are my songs, here's my catalog, here's my publishing share, here are my co-writers and their shares. So what I would say is, for step one, every time you make a piece of music that you're releasing, understand what the split sheet is. Understand who are my collaborators on this that have publishing credit, what are all of our publishing percentages of the song, and by the way, you should make sure that adds up to 100%. Seems obvious, but if it doesn't add up to 100%, it's big. It happens more than you think. And if you try to send a registration to a collection society and it doesn't equal 100%, they're just going to send it back to you. They're going to be like, this doesn't equal 100.
Got it.
So one is you want to be really upfront with your collaborators when you finish the song, when you're putting it out. Here's what our pieces of the publishing are. Step two, find a global publishing administrator. Whether that's KOSIGN, if you can get into KOSIGN, we feel like we're the premium, the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
But even if you can't get into KOSIGN, you want to find a publishing administrator and then deliver those songs and those splits, those percentages, to your publishing administrator for them to register everywhere.
Okay.
I think a lot of people are going to say, well, what about my PRO, right? Like, what about ASCAP and BMI?
Yeah.
What I'll say is ASCAP and BMI, super important. The only issue there is that those organizations register a single type of royalty. They collect a single type of royalty, which is, in this case, for ASCAP or BMI, performance royalties.
Yep.
And they register directly and collect directly in one country, which is the United States. And while they have sometimes what's called reciprocal agreements with other countries to collect some royalties from those other PROs, those are the collection societies in other countries, each of those PROs are going to take their own share out of the royalties, and it's not going to cover the global picture. So what I would say is that it's great to be registered at ASCAP or BMI. That's a good step one. But if you want to make sure that you are collecting your global publishing royalties, not just from the US, not just from performance royalties, but from every single country, every single type of royalty, that's where you need a company like KOSIGN. That's one place that you can go that will register directly at ASCAP and BMI, great, but also will register that song in 200 countries around the world,
right,
across every single type of royalty.
Right.
And it's really important because we live in a global world where, audiences are global. Like, I could be an artist who's popping off or a producer whose catalog is popping off, and the US might still just be 30 or 40% of my total streaming picture. And, you would never show up to your job and say, I just want to get paid 30% of my paycheck. That, I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah.
You would want to get paid 100%.
Yeah.
And the way to do that is by having a global publishing admin who is registering everywhere. And that is our goal with KOSIGN. It's to help people get paid 100% of their publishing royalties so that, by the way, maybe they can quit that job, right? Again, this is real money in the system. This isn't just like tips. Publishing is not tips, right? Publishing is an important piece of the income pie. There is up to $1 billion right now that we feel is being undercollected in publishing. And if we can have 1,000 people through KOSIGN in a simple way that's flexible, that's transparent, that they control, collect that extra money, that could be the difference between them not getting to do music full time and not getting to ever sort of see how they can invest in their dream that way and doing it full time. And again, it's a dollars and cents thing. It's a royalty thing, but it's about culture, right? Like, when you can invest in your craft full time, when you can make a comfortable living off your music, that's what's going to let you invest to the next level. And it feels so out of reach for people. And what we're saying is that if you can really value your publishing, you can get closer to that goal. And there's just no reason why you should be leaving this money on the table. And we take it very, very personally that artists should have the ability to fully recognize the value of their publishing while keeping ownership and control of their publishing.